Do you know single MFA method can reduce up to 90% attack surface? सब कुछ हम देखेंगे आज के वीडियो में. Nowadays MFA is not a new thing, right? Google, Facebook, or any cloud service provider or any service provider enforcing the MFA method. Why? Because it's secure, right? There are a few multi-factor authentication methods are available, right? It's not only you need to do a multi-factor authentication through your mobile phone, right? Yeah, there is a authenticator app. You can approve the request through incoming call. Then there is Windows Hello for Business. Then there is a FIDOS 2, a security key auth hardware token. That hardware, like kind of a USB, you will stick to your laptop and it will authenticate. Right, and then there is a SMS and the voice call. Again, as I said, voice call, incoming call, you can approve the request. So there are few methods are available that from that you can approve your multi-factor authentication. Okay, now I will show you free version, that is user managed multi-factor authentication, how you can set multi-factor authentication per user basis, right? This is not recommended by Microsoft, but sometimes company use this in production environment. Okay, now I'll set MFA to this HR team. Okay, now what I have to do, click on here, multi-factor authentication. I have set this as enabled, right? This, and you can do the enforce, but you don't have to do enforce. Like, I'll show you. HR टीम अभी मैंने इसको एनेबल कर दिया है, बट इट इज सी द यूजर इज नॉट एट रजिस्टर्ड फॉर द एनेबल, नॉट एट रजिस्टर्ड फॉर द MFA. दैट्स द रीज़न इट इज़ नॉट शोइंग एज अ इन्फोर्स्ड. जब भी यूज़र रजिस्टर करेगा MFA मल्टी फैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन को, देन इट विल बिकम्स एनेबल टू इन्फोर्स, राइट? सो फ्रॉम दिस ऑल्सो यू कैन रिकग्नाइज और यू कैन फिगर आउट कि कौन कौन से यूज़र ने रजिस्टर्ड किया है मल्टी फैक्टर ऑथेंटिकेशन के लिए, राइट? सो I'll open the private browser, incognito browser, in private browser, and I'll type office.com. Okay, sign in. I will log in with the HR team, and then the password I have got this. Then the help us to protect your account. Microsoft has enabled the security default to keep your account secure, right? So next. So now Microsoft Authenticator app I already installed on my mobile phone, right? So I'll click the next. I'll scan the code with my Microsoft app. Quickly I scan the code and I'll click next. Number is showing 22. I'll put this number on my mobile phone. Yes, yeah, it is approved. Next. Done. There you go. I logged in successfully, right? This is the way you need to set up or register for the multi-factor authentication. This is the end user experience, right? And now I'll quickly go back, and here see it is enabled. I'll refresh this page and see this is enforced, right? Now it is enforced. So this is the way you can figure out which user has been registered for the multi-factor authentication, right? This way. Then I'll show you another free method, that is security default, that is managed by Microsoft. In that case, we don't have to worry about multi-factor authentication because it is managed by Microsoft. वो पूरा उसका कंट्रोल माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के पास रहता है. एंड दिस थिंग्स लाइक दिस. Now I quickly go to the Azure Active Directory. I'll show you from where you can see the security defaults. So security defaults, you need to go to the Azure Active Directory. Then आपको जाना है properties. then properties में जाने के बाद you have to go all the way down and see there is a last option, manage security default. Click on this link and see it is enable the security default. Yes, so it's basically when you click a yes and it is a security default is enabled, right? So whenever you create a user in your tenant, that user will go for the registration, say MFA registration, and by default MFA will be enabled for all users, right? आपके पास वो ऑप्शन नहीं है कि आप उसमें ऑप्ट आउट कर सकते हैं, राइट? यू हैव टू गो विद दिस व्हेन यू अनेबल दिस सिक्योरिटी डिफॉल्ट, देन यूजर कैनॉट ऑप्ट आउट from the MFA. They have to register for the MFA and they have to use also the MFA. They cannot escape or skip that multi-factor authentication. This is the yes. Now I'll show you the paid version. The paid version is basically same portal as your Active Directory. आपको आना है सिक्योरिटी में, then you click on this conditional access policy and see there is a policy. Now there is a lot of policy you can create from the conditional access, but as a part of or the scope of this video, I'll just show you the multi-factor authentication. Now there is a two ways you can create a multi-factor authentication, one from this new policy tab and the another is yes. Now we will create a multi-factor authentication from the template. Okay, I'll click on the template and see there is an option required multi-factor authentication for all users, and there is a one another policy, same policy, required multi-factor authentication for all admins. It's basically what is the difference is basically the admins will get a multi-factor authentication and the rest of the users will skip from that policy. Now scope of work, like scope of this video, I will go for this require multi-factor authentication for all users, review and create. This is a two-click process and you will have a multi-factor authentication policy straight away configured. But as of now, this policy is not configured, not turned on or enabled because this created policy in a report only mode, right? So we will click on this policy and I will show you the settings of this policy. Now see this policy is configured for all users excluded myself because by default Microsoft skip or put myself in exception because Microsoft don't want to take a chance, lock down yourself when you create such a policy, and then you might not able to log in again, right? If you create a wrong policy and you lock yourself, then there is a very hard or big process to recover that account, right? Because you are a global admin, so you don't want to take that risk, right? So Microsoft take a put yourself in the exception list. You can remove that, okay? It's not the compulsory. You can remove the exception. Okay, I'll remove this because I know what I'm doing right now. So I'll click include all users, then all cloud apps, all Microsoft apps will be included here. Then condition, there is no condition we are putting or any parameters we are any requirement we are putting here. Okay, straight away we need all users go for the MFA registration. They need to have MFA activated before they log in, right? And the in grant access, see this, so only what we need is a required multi-factor authentication. This is by default selected. I'm just doing this selected session not required, and see this report only. I'll click on the on and I'll exclude because I understand that my account will be impacted by this policy. Proceed anyway. I know what I'm doing, but see, this is the warning message is coming here that our tenant is a security default is already enabled, right? So we need to disable before we turn on this policy. So what we'll do, we'll go back to the Azure Active Directory. I'll skip this. I'll go back again in the properties. I'll go to the manage security default, click on no, and my organization use the conditional access because I want to use the conditional access, and I click save. Right now I'll go back again the security conditional access and the policy is right here. I'm not changing anything because we know what we have done, right? My user is already excluded. It's okay. and then I'll click on and the save. Now my policy is applicable, right? So now you can check this whether it is working or not by just clicking what if, right? Here you can just put a user ID. I'll just select the one user here, user, select user, and I'll just select HR team, and I'll just still salesman, no, HR team. Okay, select, and I'm not changing anything here, and just I'll click the what if, and it will show the how many policies is going to applicable. Require multi-factor authentication for all users. See, its state is on. It's basically its policy is going to applicable for this user. That way you can see whether this policy is going to apply any user or not, right? This way you can confirm whether your policy that you created it is working or not. Then we'll go back here. So as of now I have shown you the how you can set the multi-factor authentication per user basis, then how you can set the multi-factor authentication through security default that comes with the Microsoft default security, and the conditional access policy. Conditional access policy, again, it is a paid. You need as your Active Directory P1 license to create a conditional access policy, right? And again I'll show you there is another one. Okay, this chart will show you how the conditional access policy will work for the multi-factor authentication. See, there is a signal, user location, device, risk, real-time risk, application. You can put the condition based on these entities, and then you can decide the condition that okay, whether this device is enrolled or it is um, a compliant device, user location, this and that. Like it is, if it is logged in from India, then only allow the conditional access policy. Then you can set this allow access, required MFA, or block access. Based on that cloud services you can access. So Microsoft also doing the MFA thing. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में MFA आप सेटअप कर सकते हो 3 ways से. Basically one is a conditional access policy. Through conditional access policy, but it's need a license, so it's a paid version, right? It's a paid version, and you can set the conditional access policy, and that will enforce the user to go for the MFA method. सेकेंड वर्जन है जो फ्री है, दैट इज़ मैनेज्ड बाय माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, दैट इज़ सिक्योरिटी डिफ़ॉल्ट. यहाँ पे ऑफिस 365 एडमिन को कुछ नहीं करना है. इट विल मैनेज्ड बाय माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, एंड ऑल यूजर्स forcefully go for the MFA, right? And there is a third version which is free, but यूजर्स को लाइक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एडमिन को, ऑफिस 365 एडमिन को, ग्लोबल एडमिन स्पेसिफिकली, द ग्लोबल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर ने बेसिकली ग्लोबल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर मैनेज करते हैं इस यूज़र को पर यूज़र बेसिस, राइट? विच इज़ नॉट रिकमेंडेड बाय माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अगेन. या, thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel. Thank you. Bye bye.